Hello, everybody. Today, I would like to give you some introduction about the basic pharmacokinetics. The points of discussion would be the definition of pharmacokinetics, applications of pharmacokinetics, then what is a model, types of models, and briefly about non-compartment model, and physiological model, and conclusion. Let's see what is pharmacokinetics. It is defined as the study of the bodily processes of absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. In short, it is known as ADME. ADME in general describes the drug movement into, within, and out of the body. Metabolism and excretion together are termed as elimination, whereas distribution, metabolism, and excretion is termed as disposition. Generally, PK is nothing but what the body does to the drug. Each of these processes of ADME, it has a kinetic component, that is the rate of process, as well as the extent component, that is the amount of drug or fraction of dose that is absorbed, distributed, metabolized, or excreted. So suppose we take absorption, it has got two components. One is the rate of absorption, other is the extent of absorption. Likewise, all the processes will have the kinetic as well as the extent component. Now let's go to the applications of pharmacokinetics. The major application is in drug discovery. Now, lack of efficacy and toxicity are considered to be major reasons for drug failures. Today, all drug companies include early ADME evaluation in the process of drug discovery to select lead drug candidates for further development. That means to say, ADME parameters are the criteria, one of the criteria apart from safety for selection of lead drug candidates. The critical pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic parameters in drug development are clearance, effective concentration range, extent of availability, fraction of the available dose excreted unchanged, blood or plasma concentration ratio, half-life, toxic concentrations, extent of protein binding, volume of distribution, and the rate of availability. Next, in preclinical studies, once a lead compound is found, drug development begins with preclinical research to determine the efficacy and safety of the drug. Now, researchers determine absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion information about the drug. And we could also extrapolate the human kinetics from the animal data. In clinical studies, what we call as in phase 1 studies where healthy human volunteers are used, researchers assess the safety and pharmacokinetics as well as any side effects for the safe dosage ranges. So here in phase 1, the pharmacokinetic data, it supports dose selection. This is just to give you the picture of the drug development. You have the different stages: early drug discovery, preclinical studies, clinical development, FDA review, post-marketing monitoring. In the first three stages, that is early drug discovery, preclinical studies, as well as clinical development, there is a role of pharmacokinetics. Now let's see what is clinical pharmacokinetics. Now, pharmacokinetics of a drug depends on drug's chemical properties as well as patient-related factors such as renal function, genetic makeup, gender, age, and so on. Knowledge of pharmacokinetic principles helps the prescribers to adjust the dosage more accurately. Now, application of pharmacokinetic principles to individualize pharmacotherapy is known as therapeutic drug monitoring. Now, the important pharmacokinetic parameters with regard to absorption are Ka, that is the rate of absorption, AUC, that is the area under the curve, next F is the bioavailability. With respect to distribution, the important parameter is Vd, that is the apparent volume of distribution. In metabolism, important parameter is Km, that is the metabolic rate constant. And in elimination, it is Ke, that is the renal elimination rate constant, K, that is the overall elimination rate constant, T half, that is the biological half-life, Cl, that is the clearance. K and Vd are known as primary model parameters. And the others, that is clearance, AUC, half-life and so on, they are known as the secondary model parameters because they are the functions of the primary model parameters. For example, we can determine clearance by multiplying K with Vd. We can calculate AUC by dividing the dose by clearance. And T half, as we all know, is equal to 0.693 divided by K. Now let's see what is a model. Model is a representation of a data. Now the model can be anything. It could be a clay model, it could be a pictorial model, it could be a graphical model. So it could be any type. Now in pharmacokinetics, the model that we use is mathematics. So here we describe the system or the process as a mathematical equation or graphs. Now why model the data? One is descriptive, that is to describe the drug kinetics in a simple way. See, our body is very complex, and then we cannot really see through the body and understand what is happening to the drug inside the body. So when we take the dosage forms, different dosage forms, we know that it goes through the ADME processes, but we really do not understand otherwise without the help of pharmacokinetics how or what would be the rate of absorption, how much would be the tissue binding, and what would be the rate of elimination and all that. So modeling helps in describing the drug kinetics in a simple way. Next is predictive. Here we could predict the PK. For example, we can just do single dose study and we can predict the time course of the drug after multiple dosing based on the single dose data. Also, it is easier to carry out the IV bolus studies in animals. And from the IV data, we could predict the absorption profile of the drug. We could predict the oral data from the IV data. Explanatory is to explain certain unclear observations. For example, why ADR is happening for a drug. It could be because even after stopping the drug after 3-4 days also sometimes ADRs are seen. Why? It could be explained with the help of pharmacokinetics because it could be that the drug is bound to the tissues. Until the drug is completely removed from the body, it can exert certain adverse reactions. Now, the pharmacokinetic models can be classified into 3 types. 1. Non-compartment model. 2. Compartment model. And 3. Physiological model. Now, what is a non-compartment model? These are modeled independent. This describes the pharmacokinetics of a drug disposition using concentration and time parameters. Calculation of the ADME parameters are based on statistical moments theory. Now, these non-compartment models are typically preferred for characterizing the PK within a single study. The time course of drug concentration in plasma can usually be regarded as a statistical distribution curve. The data required here is concentration and time. The basic calculations are based on the blood level curve obtained by plotting plasma concentration versus time. You could say the first blood level curve here. This is for intravenous bolus, where time is on the x-axis and you have the log of concentration on the y-axis. And these as well as this are for extravascular administration, where AB is the absorption phase and BC is the elimination phase. From the graphs, the various parameters like Ka, Ke, AUC, AUMC could be calculated. The most common PK parameters described by an NCA are maximum concentration, that is Cmax and Tmax, which can be obtained from the graph. Area under the concentration time curve, AUC, is calculated using the trapezoidal rule. Third is the volume of distribution, which could also be calculated from the graph. Total clearance, TL, as well as terminal half-life or the biological half-life T half also could be calculated from certain equations. The other parameters that could be calculated are AUMC, that is the area under the first moment curve, and the MRT. Let's see how AUC can be calculated. AUC is calculated from the plasma concentration versus time curve, which is known as the zero moment curve using trapezoidal rule. So AUC is equal to half into C1 plus C2 into T2 minus T1 plus half into C2 plus C3 into T3 minus T2 and so on up to n number of concentrations, where Cn is the nth concentration and Tn is the nth time. Area under the product of concentration and time, that is Ct versus T, that curve is called as area under the first moment curve, that is AUMC. AUMC is also calculated by the trapezoidal rule. From AUC and AUMC, the mean residence time MRT can be calculated as follows. That is, MRT is equal to AUMC divided by AUC for IV administration. MRT is the average time the drug molecules reside in the body. Now, what are the advantages of non-compartment models? They are simple, efficient, and effective method for estimating the PK parameters. It requires fewer assumptions than model-based approaches. It is useful for characterizing PK within a single study. And it can be applied to any drug which follows linear pharmacokinetics. Now let's come to the compartment model. Now this involves the representation of the subject's body as a collection of compartments. It is not real, it is imaginary, it is hypothetical. The compartment is not a physiological or anatomical region, but it consists of a group of tissues with similar blood flow or affinity characteristics. The assumptions are barriers exist between the compartments, transfer occurs in a certain direction, and transfer occurs at a certain rate. That is, it could be zero order or first order, but elimination always follows first order kinetics. The simplest compartment model is the one compartment model with IV bolus administration and first order elimination of the drug. This approach can be expanded to include other routes of administration such as IV infusion and extravascular administration such as oral, intramuscular, subcutaneous or topical. Now, what are the compartment characteristics? The drug is homogeneously distributed. Drug distribution is instantaneous, thus the compartment is well stirred. Elimination is majorly from the central compartment, although we cannot rule out elimination from the peripheral compartments, but we'll take it as for general purpose, elimination is from central compartment and there is no irreversible tissue binding. Now, compartment models could be classified as one compartment model and multi-compartment model. Multi-compartment models could be two compartment model or three compartment model. Now, compartment models can be represented as mammillary model and quaternary model. Now, what you see here, what you are seeing here as the bogies of a train, this way of representation is known as quaternary model, whereas this is known as the mammillary model, where central compartment is in the center and the other compartments are around the central compartment like satellites. Now again, compartment models can be classified as one compartment model and multi-compartment models I told you. And one compartment model assumptions are the body is treated as one homogeneous unit which has no barriers to drug movement. Mixing is instantaneous. Drug elimination follows first order kinetics. And what you see here, the compartment may be represented as either a rectangle or a triangle or a square. And you have an arrow which is coming into the compartment, an arrow which is going out of the compartment. And since this is IV bolus, there is no rate of absorption here, so there is no rate in here. So the drug is entering directly into the compartment and then it is getting eliminated after all the ADME processes have taken place. The last step, that is E, elimination, is from the system to outside, and that is K10. Now, there are two ways of representing the data. One is using blood analysis, using the blood samples. Now, when you collect the blood samples in patients who have been administered the drug via IV bolus, and you determine the concentrations of the drug in the blood plasma samples and plot a graph between time on the x-axis and plasma concentration on the y-axis, you get a declining graph like this. This is known as mono-exponential decline. Now, dAB by dt is equal to minus K into AB, where this is the rate of amount of drug in the body with respect to time, that is equal proportional to the amount of drug in the body. Its minus sign is showing that it is declining. And volume of distribution Vd is equal to dose divided by C naught, where C naught is the concentration at 0 time. Now the mono-exponential equation here is C is equal to C naught into e to the power of minus kt. Here you can see you have got one exponent e. That's why it is called as mono-exponential decline. And this is known as mono-exponential equation. And if we take log of this, we can say log C is equal to log C naught minus kt divided by 2.303, where this is log to base 10. The parameters that can be estimated from this model are K and Vd. Similarly, we could also take urine samples and plot. du by dt is the rate of elimination. If we plot a graph of log of du by dt versus time, we get a straight line, the slope of which is equal to minus k divided by 2.303. So we can calculate K by multiplying the slope of the graph with 2.303. Now, if you plot a graph of cumulative amount of drug in the urine versus time, we get a plot like this. Here, the cumulative amount excreted, if it is equal to the dose, if it is nearly equal to the dose or equal to the dose, we can conclude that there is no metabolism. Whereas, if the U infinity, that is, the cumulative amount of the drug excreted in the urine, is different, not equal to the dose, then we can say the drug is undergoing metabolism. And the other plots are log ARE, that is log of amount of drug remaining to be excreted versus time. We get a straight line. Slope is equal to minus K divided by 2.303. The other plot which we can do is du by dt on the y-axis and plasma concentration on the x-axis. You have a straight line. Slope is equal to clearance. Now this is a representation of one compartment model with IV infusion, where K0 is the rate of infusion and K10 is nothing but the rate of elimination. And this is the blood level curve for an infusion, where time is on the x-axis and plasma concentration is on the y-axis. And in case of infusion, the drug concentration increases till the point of infusion, and once the infusion is stopped, it declines like this. And this is known as the steady state concentration. And if you plot a graph of log of CSS minus C divided by CSS versus time, we get a straight line, from the slope of which we can get the value of K. And this is a representation of schematic representation of one compartment extravascular administration. Here you can see K01, that means the drug is entering from outside to the blood. So here you have got the rate constant of absorption K01 and K10 is the rate of elimination. Now, multi-compartment models explains about the distribution of drugs which was not taken care in one compartment model. So, one compartment model explains about elimination. So, there is no question of distribution there. It gives you parameters about absorption. It gives you parameters about elimination. Whereas, if you want to know about the distribution of drugs, we need to go for multi-compartment models. Here, we classify the organs and tissues as highly perfused and poorly perfused. Highly perfused tissues form the central compartment, or what we call as the tissue compartment or the peripheral compartment is the poorly perfused tissues. Highly perfused tissues are falling under central compartment or one compartment model, and the tissues and organs that are coming in that are blood, heart, liver, kidneys, lungs, spleen, and so on. And the poorly perfused tissues fall under peripheral compartment, what we call as tissue compartment. So here, this is a representation of a two compartment model. So in one compartment model, you have got all the highly perfused tissues. In the second compartment, we have got here muscles and adipose tissues. And in the graph between log C versus T, you have the distribution phase as well as the elimination phase here. Whereas in one compartment model, you just had the elimination phase. And two compartment model has y exponential equation, that is C is equal to A into e to the power of minus alpha t plus B into e to the power of minus beta t, where alpha represents distribution phase and beta is a parameter that represents the elimination phase. We can calculate alpha and beta from the graph, from the slope of the graph, whereas we can calculate A and B from the intercept of the graph. And we can calculate all the pK parameters like K, K12, K21, K10, VC, AUC, everything from the graph. See, what is this K12? K12 is the rate of distribution from central compartment to the tissue compartment. And then since distribution is reversible, from here, once again, the drug comes back to the central compartment. So that is the reverse tissue distribution rate constant is K21. It comes back to compartment 1, where you have got liver, kidneys, etc. And elimination happens from the central compartment. So all the PK parameters like distribution rate constant, reverse distribution rate constant, elimination rate constant, apparent volume of distribution of central compartment and area under the curve, we can calculate from the intercept as well as slope values. And this is the graphical representation of two compartment model which is extravascular. Now you have the three compartment model where you have got, this is a typical mammillary model where you have got compartment 1 in the center and 2 and 3 on the either side of them. So the drug enters here because it's IV bolus, and then it gets distributed K12 to 1 to second compartment where muscles and adipose tissues are there. And here the third compartment consists of innermost tissues and organs like bones or outermost tissues like skin. So here this is the volume of distribution of central compartment, volume of distribution of tissue compartment, volume of distribution of deep tissue compartment. So this is called tissue compartment. This is called deep tissue compartment. Now three compartment model is represented by a tri-exponential equation. That is C is equal to A into e to the power of minus alpha t plus B into e to the power of minus beta t plus C into e to the power of minus gamma t, where alpha, this portion gives you information about the distribution into the tissues, this about the elimination, and gamma, this parameter about the deep tissue distribution. What are the advantages of compartment models? They are useful for characterizing PK across multiple studies and for exploring PK variability due to intrinsic factors such as age, gender, renal impairment, hepatic impairment, etc. It's helpful for dosage adjustments based upon these factors. There are certain limitations of compartment models, like there is little physiological or anatomical relevance of the compartments. There are many assumptions which are very difficult to verify here. The third type is physiological model. These are also known as blood flow or perfusion models. Now, this is based on the actual tissues and their respective blood flow. The consideration is that blood flow is responsible for distributing the drugs to various parts of the body. All physiological compartments of the body, such as gastrointestinal tract, lungs, central nervous system, muscles, bone, etc., they are included in this model. Each organ system forms a separate compartment. The amount of drug entering and leaving the compartment should be determined. Now, the uptake of drugs into the organs is determined by binding of the drugs in these tissues. And we can represent the physiological model in this fashion. You can see. So we have just taken heart. I mean, some organs I have taken. With each organ is its own compartment. So drug entry and drug output. Now this model is much more realistic and meaningful compared to the other two models, as blood flow, distribution and elimination from individual organs and tissue groups are included. The model parameters that are determined are blood flow, elimination rate, partition coefficient, and all these have a physiological or anatomical relevance. And its main application is in drug discovery process to identify the kinetics of a new compound, because this is more realistic. This is a preferred model in drug discovery programs. And also we can extrapolate the human pharmacokinetics from the animal data. The limitations are that the model is complex and sufficient data is difficult to be collected. Apart from urine and blood data, tissue concentrations and organ blood flow rates need to be known. In summary, we can say that pharmacokinetic models are important in both preclinical and clinical studies. The biological system is very complex and the kinetics of the drug is very complicated. We can describe the drug kinetic processes or interpret the data using simple mathematical models. The ultimate objective of any pharmacokinetic model is to obtain the pharmacokinetic parameters of the drug, and the models, whichever model, there are three models I told you, any model you can use depending on the requirement, but the ultimate objective of any pharmacokinetic model is to give the pharmacokinetic parameters of a drug, which is of importance in understanding the behavior of the drug inside the body. Thank you.